What's going on? What's going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned in to episode 24 of the HFWB podcast series. I am your host, Clifton Pope, and I want to thank everyone once again for everyone watching on YouTube. Be sure to search Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business and subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the latest content for everything health, fitness, wealth, business related. And for those who are currently listening right now on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google Podcasts, thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you download this, make sure you stream this, make sure you share this with the next person, someone you know, someone you don't know. That way they could share it to someone they know, and we could continue to spread this thing like wildfire even in the year 2022, baby. Also want to give a special shout out to Mr. Kirk Logan from 361ccradio.com for those who are listening to this right now. Be sure to tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. for the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series on 361ccradio.com. I appreciate that once again, and here I am back at it doing a solo episode this time. And the reason that I want to do a solo episode this time as we carry into the new year of 2022, I want to talk about one person who definitely I consider one of my role models in my life, and it's based on obviously the shirt that I'm wearing currently at the moment. I want to talk about Mr. Kobe Bryant. And the reason why I want to talk about Mr. Kobe Bryant is for multiple reasons in which I can go on and on for hours and even days maybe, but one of the main reasons why I want to talk about Kobe Bryant today, obviously, with what I've learned from him, what we could all learn from him, and his tragic accident that's ironically enough like almost a 2-year anniversary of that happening. I want to cover that a little bit, and I want to cover what I personally have learned from Kobe Bryant. I'm not really going to get into the details on how great of a basketball player he is because that's something within itself. But I will say this, and this is the only thing I'm going to say within basketball related. Now, some people can make the argument, Kobe Bryant, all he really did was steal all of Michael Jordan's move and perfected him to the ultimate craft to where it suited him the most. And most of that I could honestly say is true. That's basically what Kobe Bryant did. But at the same time, I remember watching this the other day. It was a video where he was sitting down doing an interview, and I think he was playing with the Philadelphia 76ers players at the time when he was like 18 years old, and he was asking him what was it like guarding Michael Jordan, and they were like, who, Black Cat, Black Jesus? And then Kobe was just saying some stuff like, what the you know what? And then basically, I'm going to call him by his name. I'm going to call him Mike, because that's his name. And the fact that he said that, and the fact that he said, yeah, you may have gotten the best of me at 18 years old, but I'm still going to be right there next to you the next play, and I'm going to keep coming at you, and I'm going to keep on letting you know I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And that alone is just tells you the greatness of Kobe Bryant being an 18-year-old kid going up against Michael Jordan in the back end of the back end of his prime, basically telling him, hey, you may be Michael Jordan, but I'm Kobe Bryant, and I'm coming for your title, I'm coming for your crown, and I'm coming for your spot. And sure enough, within due time, Kobe Bryant did that. I mean, obviously, he had some assistance winning his first 3 championships with Shaq, and we all know the Kobe and Shaq feud and all that stuff. Personally, I think that was just a bunch of nonsense at the time. And then, yeah, Kobe went through a stretch where he was on a scoring tear. Did I mention he did the 81-point game, second most of all time behind only Wilt Chamberlain with the 100-point game as far as most points scored ever in an NBA game. And to this day, not one player has come close to doing that. Not to mention the 2 more championships he got with, of course, thanks to a little bit of help from Pau Gasol and the team that was put together around the time. And it was just a great run. I remember watching that in high school, my senior year. And I remember I was at my friend's house, and I just remember running out the house when the Kobe won his 5th championship and his final championship, and just thinking that was the greatest moment in the world. But hey, that's just a die-hard Laker fan in me. I'm not gonna lie on that, and it's just so many countless memories of just watching Kobe Bryant as a basketball player within itself. I can go on and on for days. My personal favorite, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to skip anything here. Obviously, he went through a stretch where, he was facing a lot of bumps along the road. He tore his Achilles tendon, tore his shoulder. His body was starting to break down on him, and he was obviously starting to become a shell of himself. I'm not ashamed to say that, and I'm one of the biggest Kobe Bryant fans ever. And anyone who knows me will tell you how much Kobe Bryant means to me, and how much, and he's the reason why I even fell in love with the Los Angeles Lakers to begin with. And it was crazy because my favorite basketball player wound up being on my favorite basketball team, and it just all worked out, and it was just meant to be. And it's crazy how much Kobe Bryant talked about it was meant for him to be a part of the Los Angeles Lakers, and overall just getting to where he is as far as an overall basketball player and the overall impact that he's making on this young generation at this very moment. Like, I can name like Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving. There's a bunch of other people, Jamal Murray. I could think of a couple of other people maybe. And obviously, he's even influenced LeBron James to a certain extent. I mean, people forget that LeBron James in high school was rocking an afro trying to be like Kobe Bryant himself. So it's like, if that doesn't speak to how much of an impact that Kobe has had on the NBA, I mean, oh yeah, not to mention Devin Booker. He's another player who is very heavily influenced by Kobe Bryant. Giannis Antetokounmpo, look at him. He just won the championship last year with Milwaukee, heavily influenced by Kobe. Jason Tatum, the list goes on. I mean, Kobe inspired a generation, and it's crazy how much of a generation he's inspired. Like, he inspired me. Like, to me, he's my personal GOAT as far as greatest of all time when it comes to basketball, because I was there. I grew up watching him and seeing him go from that young kid with the afro, just freestyling his way to greatness, to actually discovering what truly greatness is, which is obviously constant improvement, always looking upward, being the best version of yourself that you can be. And that's how MAMBA mentality was born. And that's something that I cherish health, fitness, wealth, business on, as far as we can be the best version of ourselves that we can be from a health perspective, as far as being overall healthy and just having like the right exercise, diet plan, right nutrition style, and of course eating right and all that good stuff, eating to live, stuff that I've said in previous episodes of the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast, and just increasing your muscle to build your hustle. That's kind of where I learned all of that from, was obviously watching Kobe Bryant's work ethic. Now, I will say this. Kobe Bryant is the hardest working basketball player to ever play in the history of the NBA. And anybody can attest to that. I mean, you can go on YouTube and type in what NBA players have to say about Kobe Bryant, and I guarantee you there's all the NBA players who are currently playing or who have played, they have at least one or two Kobe Bryant stories based on his work ethic alone. I mean, look at all the players from the 2008 Olympic team. They all have a story of Kobe Bryant getting there, working out. When all the other players were getting ready to work out, Kobe Bryant was already having ice packs on his knees, getting ready to do another workout, because that's just how dedicated he was. And it's mind-blowing to me, his work ethic. I try to passion my own work ethic off of that. I mean, I couldn't do it to the extent that man did, because that man is just on a whole nother level, and that's why I admire him and respect him so much. And I try my best to emulate the work ethic that he's doing, or at least taking bits and pieces as far as what I could learn from Kobe Bryant's work ethic, just like you, the people, should be doing the same thing as well. Now, fast forward, obviously, through all the injuries and stuff like that, my personal favorite moment, and I'll never forget this, I mean, who else could you say as an NBA player retiring his final game, dropping 60 points? And yes, I've heard the stories and all the people talk about it, but look how many shots he took. I mean, at that point, does it really matter? Does it really make a difference? I mean, The dude was playing his last game and gave it all he had, and his body was already broke it down. Appreciate the fact that he dropped 60 points in his final game, for God's sakes. I mean, not even Michael Jordan dropped 60 points in his final game. No NBA player has ever dropped 60 points in their final NBA game, and honestly, I don't see anybody in the future even coming close to topping that. And if so, hey, hats off to him. That's a hell of an accomplishment. But at this current moment, while I'm living and breathing and all that stuff, I just don't see it happening. But that's another reason why we can adjust to, of course, seeing how great Kobe Bryant was. And that's not even mentioning the stuff that he was getting ready to do outside of basketball. I mean, he won an Oscar for the short film Dear Basketball, and he was starting all these mentorship programs, getting into coaching girls basketball with his daughter Gianna's AAU team, and it's just, he was on his way to greatness, man. And I can just talk about how great he is as much all day, every day, but you know, I'm just gonna wrap it up to where I'm gonna say his 2-year anniversary of him passing away is shortly approaching. I believe it was like January 26th, if I'm not mistaken. I'll never forget where I was when that happened. I was staying at my girlfriend's mom's house at the time. We just got finished eating breakfast. She cooked some breakfast. I believe it was like some pancakes, bacon, eggs, something like that. And then we were getting ready to, you know, chill out, lay down, be lazy, and we were going to watch, you know, Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and just have another lazy Sunday. You know, I didn't think nothing of it. And then sure enough, my girlfriend was scrolling down her phone and, you know, saw a breaking news headline or some news story talking about how Kobe Bryant died. And I remember just looking over to her and being like, what? Kobe Bryant died? Nah, you're playing. That has to be fake news. That didn't happen. That just can't be true. Kobe Bryant didn't die. Stop playing around. And that was my initial reaction, just like it was a lot of people's initial reactions. They just thought it was fake, that it couldn't be real, you know? And then, sure enough, my girlfriend's mom comes into her room while we were chilling, laying, watching Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, saying the same thing. And I'm like, wait a second. What are you talking about? Kobe Bryant did not die. And that made me turn off that. And the first thing I did, I was turning on CNN, just like everybody was, trying to rush to some news resource to where they can see if this was actually a real story and how, if this really was the case. And then sure enough, we all got the breaking news that it was for real. And I never forget whenever it came back from commercial and it said breaking news, and sure enough, it showed the whole entire helicopter scene, how it was destroyed, and how it just said Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and the other 7 passengers, they died in that helicopter crash. And I just remember just sitting back in the bed, bursting out into tears. My girlfriend was hugging me, telling me, wow, I couldn't believe it. Everything's going to be okay. Who would have thought this happened? And I just remember just crying for like a couple of hours, just thinking, damn, Kobe Bryant died, man. And it's crazy. Like everybody, all my family members were literally messaging me, making sure that I was okay, because that just goes to show you from what I mentioned earlier. I mean, all my family, all my closest friends, and even my girlfriend to this very day knows how much Kobe Bryant means to me. And it's like they were all making sure that I wasn't going off the deep end, and they were just like, damn, I remember how much of a diehard Laker fan you were and how much you loved Kobe Bryant. Are you doing okay? And for the most part, I was doing good. You know, it hit me hard for the moment, but then I realized, you know, at the end of the day, life goes on, and he's in a better place, and he's at peace. And all we can really do is take what he left on this earth and, of course, try our best to follow his same philosophies that he was trying to instill within us from the get-go, which is obviously Mamba mentality. And I actually have it pulled up here on my phone as far as what the definition of Mamba mentality is for those who are currently listening to the podcast for the first time. Let me tell you, the Mamba mentality is basically a mindset for constant self-improvement. in the pursuit of your highest potential in life. That's the main thing that we can learn from Kobe Bryant within itself, which is basically striving for constant improvement. Get away from that if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. Then you wonder why you're stagnant and you feel like you're sinking in quicksand, not going anywhere. You need to have that in your mind as far as, okay, I need to do this better, I need to do that better, I need to keep going. There's so much more we can accomplish and everything. Don't spend too much time celebrating the accomplishments. Take a good look at it, embrace it, for the moment, maybe for the rest of the day, celebrate it just for that day only. When that accomplishment happens and that success happens, only celebrate it for that day, the moment it happens, for the rest of the day until you go to sleep for the night. Then, when the next day comes, you get back at it, you get back to the grind, you activate your mind to the grind, and you chase whatever it is you're trying to pursue and tell yourself, hey, I'm trying to be the best version of myself that I can be from a physical standpoint, mental standpoint, emotional standpoint, financial standpoint, and even a spiritual standpoint. Because we could all find room for improvement, and we could always look up versus looking down, and we can always have the glass half full versus looking at it from the glass being half empty. There's so much more room to grow, and as time goes on, everything and everybody will grow. And that's pretty much what we can learn from the MAMBA mentality mindset within itself. It's like strive for constant improvement. Why do you think the Japanese are always ahead of the game when it comes to inventing new different forms of technologies that America doesn't see for another 5 or 10 years? Because they believe in the model of what they call Kaizen, which is basically the same thing as MAMBA mentality. Looking for constant improvement, always moving upward, and just striving for greatness and trying to be the best version of yourselves, or trying to develop the best possible whatever it is you're trying to develop, and you're trying to show that it can grow and it can shine every single day through different stages and through different phases. And that's something that I actually talk about in my first ebook that I have coming out called What's Wealth Without Work. Be on the lookout for it. It should be out probably by either the end of January, early February. Just be on the lookout for that. And I talk about in one of my chapters on the importance of Kaizen and Mamba mentality and all that stuff, ironically enough. So be on the lookout for my first ebook, What's Wealth Without Work, explaining more on what I mean by that within itself. But as I have my phone here pulled up for those who are currently watching on YouTube, and for everybody listening, I'm basically checking out a couple of things as far as what Mamba mentality is as I get ready to wrap up this episode here. You have to basically be on a constant quest to be the best version of yourself you can be, which is kind of what I mentioned, and that's what the mentality is. And here's another thing that it says. It's an infinite thing. It's a constant quest to try to be better today than you were yesterday, and better tomorrow than you were the day before. As in other words, look at every single day as an opportunity to where you can grow, to where you can improve. I know I'm going to beat this like a dead horse, but you'd be surprised on how many people who feel like, oh, the sky is falling, or they're being cynical, trying to smell the roses, but at the same time looking for a casket they could lay themselves in because they feel like they're dead and they can't do anything, which is, I really don't understand that when there's plenty of room for improvement. And why do you think the most successful people in the world stay successful? Because they look for ways to reinvent themselves and adjust and adapt to the modern eras of time. I mean, look at all the people who were successful before COVID and who are still around even as COVID is taking over the world right now. But that's just an example. There's people who are finding ways to constantly evolve, like, the Bill Gates, the Oprah Winfreys, the Jeff Bezos of the world. I mean, not even like Will Smith, just for example, just to throw out a few people who are successful. Obviously, Serena Williams, LeBron James. I mean, everybody is finding ways to evolve and adapt to the times and what's going on. I could even throw in a few music people. Obviously, everybody knows who Drake is. I mean, look at Drake. He's finding ways to evolve with the times and everything, and still show why he's one of the greatest. Not to mention the old school rappers like the Jay-Z's and the Nas's of the world. And I can go on and on to where everybody at one point is always finding room to constantly improve and everything. Oh yeah, not to mention Snoop Dogg. He's a perfect example of that. Finding ways to adjust and evolve and adapt to the times and still be relevant. That is how you basically stay relevant, by just finding ways to reinvent yourself to be the best version of yourself that you could be on a regular basis. That's pretty much the key to staying relevant, and that's one of the main reasons why Kobe Bryant worked as hard as he did, and his work ethic is on a whole nother level, and that's something we can definitely learn from Kobe Bryant from that. And it's just all about just finding the right bit of motivation and inspiration here at the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series. And what a better way to look for motivation and inspiration by looking at the late great Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace forever to this very day. As in other words, you have to have a sickening work ethic, like I just mentioned. It is an alpha mindset. It is a I want to be the best mindset when it comes to dominating in sports or whatever your passion or whatever your purpose is in this life, you know. You have to strive to be the best at whatever your purpose is in this world, whatever drives you, whatever motivates you, whatever inspires you, whatever makes you feel passionate to where it's like, this is what I want to do. You have to try to drive yourself to be the best that you want to be, to where you can continue to dominate in whatever it is that you are good at and whatever your God-given talent is at the end of the day. And last but not least, as far as wrapping up this whole Mamba mentality thing, before I start to wrap things up here on the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series today, he mentions one more thing as far as, if you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. Now, that just goes to show you how crazy Kobe Bryant was for saying that. Because at the same time, what he really means by that is that, hey, you better pray for the bear, because you don't know how crazy I can be and you don't know how hard I can work. And the way I look at it is like this. It's kind of what I always like to say. This is kind of one of my personal sayings. If you go down, you might as well go down swinging. As in other words, you gotta live the fight to see another day. You know, if you lose a fight, hey, get yourself back up, dust the dirt off of you, and be prepared to fight another day. You know, at the end of the day, just never quit, never back down, and just put your head down and get down in the mud, get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, and, you know, make it work and put into work. Because it's kind of like what my first ebook title says, what's wealth without work? I mean, you got to put into work in order to earn income, right? And then that income could eventually turn into wealth if you save it right and invest it right and build it right. Hence, save to invest to build. For those who've listened to the podcast before and know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, go check out earlier episodes of the Hfwb podcast series where I talk about that. And by the way, I actually have a course coming out on that very soon. The first Hfwb course, Save to Invest to Build. Be on the lookout for that here in the new year 2022. But overall, it's simply just about never quitting, never backing down, and basically living the fight on to see the next day. And if you win a fight, hey, don't get too arrogant about it. Be prepared for the next fight, because there could be somebody who's stronger than you, who has the upper hand mentally, physically, or emotionally, to where they can outwit you or outdo you. And then that arrogance will eventually turn into humility, to where you'll humble yourself and be like, man, I got to be on my A game. Anybody can take me out at any moment. But at the same time, I got to be confident in myself that I can take down anybody. And then once you find that right balance, you'll come out on top. And then next thing you know, you'll be standing tall with your hand held high, if somebody is holding your hand held high, or at least giving yourself a pat on the back saying, hey, I'm a true fighter. If I win, I win. If I lose, I'll get up, dust myself off, and live to see another day and live the fight on for the next battle. Because life is a battle. You just got to be prepared for the next one. If you win one, you win one. If you lose one, get yourself ready for the next one, you know? That's pretty much what it's all about as far as Mamba mentality. And that's overall what I want to kind of talk about as far as, you know, dedicating episode 24 of the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series towards the late, great Kobe Bryant. And I want to wrap this up by letting this sink in. And for those who can't see, I got a personal quote that I carry on my phone as far as my phone case. For those who are watching right now on YouTube, I know it's a little bit beat up, but it says right here, "You ask for my hustle, I gave you my heart." Now let that sink in as I read this again. You ask for my hustle, I gave you my heart. As in other words, whatever hustle you have, put your heart into it, activate the mind to the grind, and basically great things are going to come out of it. That's just simple, straightforward, and point blank to it. And that's how I want to wrap up this episode of the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series by saying rest in peace to the late, great Kobe Bryant as his 2-year anniversary of his death. Excuse me. As the 2-year anniversary of his death approaches, something that I'm never going to forget about to this very day. And I tell myself, you know, ever since Kobe Bryant died, Mamba mentality has become a way of life for life. And every single day, even today and tomorrow and going forward, until as long as God gives me breath in this world, I'm going to strive to be the best version of myself that I can be, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And I challenge you, the people, to do the same. And yeah, put your heart into your hustle, and then great things will happen. And before you know it, you'll be saving to investing to building something for yourself. You'll eat to live versus living to eat. You'll increase your muscle to build your hustle, and that's pretty much all it is. And that's pretty much what the foundation is for Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business, the podcast series, the brand, the business, the platform. That's what's all coming about. Check out healthfitnesswealthbusiness.com/CP, the official website. You could also check out Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business on Facebook and YouTube by searching Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Go like the official Facebook page. Be sure to subscribe to the official YouTube channel of Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. And also follow at TikTok, at HealthFWealthB. Once again, that's HealthFWealthB, the official TikTok page for Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Be on the lookout for the first official ebook for the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business book series, What's Wealth Without Work. It shall be coming out probably end of January, early February, right around there. So just be on the lookout for that. It's coming very soon. And yeah, look out for the Hfwb program, where I'll have courses, games, personal coaching services for a one-time fee that will be coming soon, as far as the announcement of how much that will be, to where you'll get exclusive access to how you can live the health, fitness, wealth, business lifestyle, as far as reintroducing health to yourself, bringing in new life within your world with great fitness, and of course spreading all the knowledge you can in wealth, and obviously teaching yourself and everybody you know and someone you don't know how to mind their own business. Because at the end of the day, for those who've listened to previous episodes of the podcast, you are your own business, you are your own brand, and you got to treat yourself that way. That way you can have that necessary respect given to you by your peers and the people who admire you, and even the people who hate you, to where they can see, hey, you're a man of respect, you stand for something, and you got your 10 toes down, ready to stand the ground and know everything's going to remain solid, baby. So I want to end this episode on that, and I challenge y'all in 2022 to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Find constant room for improvement. Look at the glass half full and constantly move upward and keep on going up, because we gonna go all the way up in 2022, y'all. This is Clifton Pope from the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business podcast series. Be sure to check it out also on 361ccradio.com. Y'all stay healthy, y'all stay wealthy, y'all stay blessed, and have yourselves a wonderful time. Till next time, everybody.